recently TikTok. He has a background in MSA and Classical Arabic, and he has translated the Great Quran with transliteration 2021 edition and is the author of Refertothekoran Volume 1. Brother, his name is babashuaib. So babashuaib is originally from Ghana. He is now based in Europe. He's a Quranic researcher and a critical thinker based on
peace be upon you all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming. Let's see the sound. Yeah, salam to you all. I see you. 2G's the realist. I see you. Fusheni, Zang Tali. I see you. Nara Power, Mohamed Isaka, Momade Pedro, Alma Johnson, Jamila Ramzi, Baba Seydunagaka. I see you. Peace be upon you all. Thank you for coming. Yeah, so this is the correctional officer's den. Let me see some of the things here. I actually forgot that I was supposed to start at 11 my time. I thought I put 11:30 my time. That is 8:30 Ghana. So when I checked again, I was like, oh, but finally I'm here, thanks to God. Let's see. Yeah, Sister Alma, I'm still recovering from cold. For those who saw my last my last video on TikTok, I was on TikTok 2 days ago, right? And I did a program. Yeah, just a minute. Yeah. So I was on TikTok 2 days ago. I did a program and let's see. Yeah, kindly let me know if the sound is very clear enough. You can hear me clearly. Let me see these features here. I'm trying to to use a particular feature, which is salam Salim Abdullah, salam Fatima Chin. So I'm streaming via Facebook and via YouTube at the same time, simultaneously, right? At the same time. You can watch me on YouTube, or you can decide to watch me on Facebook, right? I'm on both ends, right? And now you can see everything is clear enough. There is no issue with the streaming. Thanks to God and one brother, Mohammed from Canada. He actually helped me a lot to secure all these things here. So now we'll be having the chance to stream in the best possible manner and without any problems, right? It is good to have people who are there to support what you do for the sake of God, right? And I appreciate that brother a lot. So God bless him for that. Salam Muktabu saying, you're welcome. Peace. This crate it wrote a message. He said, brother, yeah, big up Nana Yao. He says, brother, some people say that sujood is the act of bringing your chin down and showing respect by bowing only your head. What do you say to this? That is not the only meaning of sujood, right? It depends what you take sujood to be. Some people will bow down, put their heads, and some people will bow down without putting their heads to the ground, and that can all be classified as sujood. But sujood, you have to go, like a collapse. You have to go down, like fall. You fall down. So the examples of the Quran, he used the word kharru, sujadan wa buqiyya. So the word kharru is to denote that there's an act of going down. So if somebody just says the head, you make the head like this, you understand? So for anybody who has this kind of view, I'm willing to have dialogues with people, right? That's why I'm available. I want people to bring their the views on board. We can dialogue it. We can discuss it. I'm open for discussion. Normally, people think I'm scared of. No, I'm not scared of anybody, right? I'm open for discussion. I do discussions. But however, if I don't see the opponent as a competent enough opponent, I lose interest. You understand? In order to have dialogue with people, you have to see their level of knowledge or intellect. It's not only about people who come and spew their whims and desires. No, I don't need that. If it's about whims and desires, every listener watching me right now can also do the same. So that's not what I'm in for. I'm in for people who actually possess knowledge with intellect. And when we discuss, they can actually present something on the board that other people can benefit. Remember, Islam, your deen, or the Quran is not about your opinion. We don't need that. Opinion is classified as an assumption because you are only assuming by giving an opinion. You understand? So when it comes to the truth, we are not sticking with opinions. So that is why I'm not, but I'm open for an intellectual discussion. If somebody has an opposing view or he has an addition to something that he wants to present, I'm available. Such people are welcome. Yeah, you're welcome, brother Discreet. Daf Vader says salam. He says babashuaib now in HD. Yes, I am, thanks to God, right? I tell God, Rabbi shrali sadri wa yassirli amli. Then he says, walil uqdatu min lisani an yafqahu qawli. So now we have the HD is available, everything is presentable, right? And God willing, when I recover totally from my blockage, it is consistent due to the month, the Ramadan, because I don't get to use the medication in the morning. I can only use it at night when I'm going to sleep. So in the daytime, I don't get to use it. So it's made this thing last. But with that, I can't say just because I have this, so this should prevent me from actually helping people or teaching people. No, I try to do my best to present things for the people. Yeah, salam Abdul, salam Ali. Yeah, peace. Hey, salam Salis Jimmy, I see you. Nagaka, salam. Salam Abdul Qudus, Muhammad Ashari. I see you all. Thank you for coming. Yeah. So I will be, if anybody wants to call, I'll be putting my phone number below the screen where people can call, right? I'll pick them up. They can call, they talk, they ask their questions, we go into that. And then whilst the topic is ongoing, but before that, for those who don't know about my YouTube channel, I'm streaming there at the same time. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel also, where you can get updates of some of the videos I did on TikTok that I put there, right? Basically, now I have the better means of doing TikTok live where I can send it to YouTube and people can watch. Like I just did it 2 days ago and people got to watch my live stream from TikTok, right? Unlike before, I don't have that means because I don't have the tools for that. But now, thanks to God, I have that available, right? With the help of a brother who has been, I would say, it's a God-sent brother, and we have it at hand, right? So, our lectures from today, they are going to be presentable where people can actually, get the benefits of what they are listening and what they are watching, right? Yeah, just a minute. So this is a WhatsApp. My WhatsApp number is down below the page. Yeah, so when I spoke on TikTok, I spoke about assumption versus the truth, right? Many a times people will use assumption, right, instead of using the truth. And if you don't know the truth, why use your assumption, right? And this is the problem with the modern day Islam. People are full of assumptions, opinions, point of views. People will say, my understanding, my opinion, my point of view. Look, who cares? It's not about your point of view, right? That's not what we need. You expect us to go in front of God and say, according to this guy's point of view, right? What? Quran chapter 17, verse 36. Let me start by sharing the screen. Quran chapter 17, verse 36. Surah al-Isra. Surah al-Isra, right? We go. Let me maximize this for you to see enough. Yeah. So Quran chapter 17, verse 36. Oh, sorry. Yeah. It says, وَلَا تَخَفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ, and do not pursue that of which you have no knowledge, or what you have no knowledge about, right? This is indeed the hearing, the eyesight, and the what? And the mind. All those will be accountable thereof, right? So if somebody is sitting in front of you and giving you his whims and desires, yours is to make sure you can listen, but don't take it onto you. Don't pursue it. You can take it and make your own research. Sometimes point of views can only aid you to draw your conclusions. But the point is, Islam is not about opinions and your own views. I give an example. Apart from this verse I quoted, وَلَا تَخَفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ, do not pursue that of which you have no knowledge, right? And God gave you the hearing, the eyesight, and the mind. All those will be answerable, will be questionable, will be held accountable thereof, because God gave you for a reason. Yeah. He gave you those faculties for a reason. Yeah, salam brother to Nagaka. So now I'm going to take you to a verse. Before I take you to the verse, you can see here, in order to follow something, you need to know what you're following. You don't just need to get up because babashuaib says it, because the correctional officer says it, or because this person says it, or that person said it. No. Many a times people will confront me with the issue of the marvelous Quran, Dr. Hani. People will confront me with the issue of some gerans, and so on. You confront me with the issue of Hamza Malik, brother Hamza Malik, and so on. Then I'll just tell them that my advice to you, the one who confronts me, is, first of all, in the beginning, when you are listening to such entities, right, always look for some details in what they say or I say. When you are listening, look for the word my understanding, my point of view, my opinion, I think, or I assume, or from my perspective. Always look for these words. Now, when somebody is telling you his perspective, don't be a fool by taking such a perspective and try to wage war against another perspective. This is the foolishness of most people who claim they are following the Quran of this modern day. I want you to understand something. There's a difference between the truth and perspective. If you are dealing with the truth, right, there is nothing like my point of view, my understanding, I think, or I assume. No. What I'm wearing now is called kente. The design is called kente, right? This is kente. Kente design. That is kente. So every intellectual person who knows about kente knows this is kente I'm wearing, right? So this is not about a point of view where I would say, according to my point of view, I think this is black or this is white. No. The truth is the truth. Say it because you know it. That is what knowledge is about. Then there is something we call perspective. Perspective is only when there's a doubt. The person is not actually certain, so he has to give his perspective of the story or of the issue. You see, my cap here, this is a white cap. I'm wearing white. It's white. I swear to God, may God bear me witness, this is white. Now, this is what we call the truth. This is not about, I think it's blue, or, oh, I see it as blue. Because remember, we all have different eyeballs, colors. Some people have blue, some people have green, some people have gray, some people have brown, some people have black. So those people with different eyeballs, they have different ways of seeing colors. Yeah. They have different ways of seeing colors. And that's why we have saturation. We have vivid colors. You understand? When you have even television, you put your colors, it changes the colors. Different people have different ways of seeing colors. Right? So when somebody with a blue eye is seeing something and is describing, he can only describe from his perspective. But when the thing itself being described, and we know by standard that thing is this color, one color, it is no more about, oh, I see it this way. No. It's not about you see it this way. It's about, is it the fact? Is it the truth? If the answer is no, then we don't need that. You get my point? So this is why we have divisions in Islam, sectarians in Islam, because everybody wants to deal with a point of view. Everybody wants to deal with a particular school of thought. Why do you think correctional officer is calling out for dialogue? Why do you think when I make a claim, I said, anybody who said I'm lying, step out for a dialogue. Let's battle it out. You understand? When somebody says, oh, Salat is not a ritual, that, remember, that is an opinion. That is a view. That is a perspective. It is from their angle, they don't see it as a ritual. Do you see the point? It's from their angle, they don't see it as a ritual. Do you see my point? So you need to understand this point. Those people who say it's not as, you can tell them, can you swear to God, call God to witness, and tell me if it is there is no ritual in Islam? Right? What is the definition of a ritual? A ritual is a prescribed procedure, any religious prescribed procedure, which goes on like a cycle. It's a repeated thing. It keeps going. Right? So now the question is, the Salat, did he start with you? No. Abraham did it, right? Prophets after him did it. So the Salat by its name only Since it's going in a repeated cycle and it's a religious event, that becomes a ritual on its own. You understand? And again, why is it that God is telling you when you get up for the Salat, you should what? You should wash your faces and then wash your hands to the elbows and then wipe your heads and then wipe your what? Your legs, right? Why do I need to do this act before I go for Salat? Do you understand me? So people will look at it from a different angle and they say, oh, I don't see it as a ritual. Well, that's their opinion. But does it mean we should fight over this just because they have an opinion? That's their opinion. So be careful when you let this kind of things put enmity or hostility between you and another person who claims to follow the Quran, and you say, no, why is it that you are claiming you're following the Quran and you are doing the rituals? What is your issue if I'm doing rituals? Are you the one going to answer my questions in front of God? No, what is your issue? No, what is your issue if the correctional officer is doing rituals? What is your issue? Are you the one going to judge me? Why don't you come out face to face and prove me wrong for the world to see if I'm lying? You understand? Don't just speak from your perspective or opinions and say somebody is wrong. That is what Musa alayhi salam did. Quran chapter 18, you read from verse 65 up to verse 82. He was using his perspective to tell his teacher that the teacher was wrong. The teacher punctured a hole in the sheep. He told the teacher, you cannot do this. This is wrong. Do you understand? When the teacher killed somebody, he said, no, you can't do this. You have done a condemnable thing. How can you kill a pure soul? When the teacher erected a wall and fixed it for the village just because of some priests who are orphans, he said, no, you could have asked for money for this. You understand? So it was from his perspective, he think he was telling the right thing. But it is after things were explained to him, excuse me to say, that he found out how stupid he was. Because sometimes you are just looking at it from your perspective. So you think, oh, everybody else is wrong. That is not the point. When I come and sit here and make lectures, I have already looked at your perspective. I've examined your perspective. I know your arguments you present on the table before I bring mine to the table. And I'm not only bringing mine as a view. I deal with the text. I use my logic. I use guidance from God. Because it's not only, when it comes to the Quran, it's not only about just reading it. It's just, you don't take it like a storybook or books written by men to just read it. No, it doesn't work like that. You need inspiration and guidance from God to lead you to understanding the text. We have had countless of non-Muslim people who have translated the Quran. But how come they don't find guidance in the Quran? You understand? There is a difference. So don't let these petty issues keep, joining us against each other. No. The main sole purpose is we all uphold the same scripture, which is the Quran. That is the book we take for guidance. You understand the subject to be like this. I might understand the subject to be like that. Let's keep moving. May it be when we share the ideas and we discuss, as time goes on, we can be level intact. Because then we are upgraded as we go on. But when you start bringing division, sometimes I'll have the Quran and some of the quranalone movement, they will be tagging me as a Satanist. They will be tagging me as a kafir. You ask them why, you say, oh, because that brother babashuaib is what? Is performing ritual salat. So I don't agree with him. Are you a fool? When I do ritual salat, do I do it for you? And why can't you use your reasoning? It is the level of understanding I've gotten from God, from the Quran, is what I'm practicing. And I'm teaching people with evidence. I don't use whims and desires. So if you are up to that level, why don't you face me, face to face? Come, babashuaib is available. I have a platform. What are you scared of? I don't get people. What are you scared of? Face me. Arrange a dialogue, face me. And then prove me wrong for my audience to see. And then I'll show you the difference between what we call perspective and what we call the truth. You can't use your perspective to say the truth is wrong. That is what I want people to understand, right? Yeah, salam, Tausif Ahmed, salam for those who are joining later on. I didn't get to read that. Muqtabu Hussain says what? He says, interpretation of ayat may sometimes differ from man to man. So do you consider it as different opinions? Good point. Now, the reason why interpretation differ from this man to this man, I'll tell you the point. When God brought down the book, he sent messengers and he gave them the duty to deliver the message, right? And if I take you to Quran chapter 16, verse 64, and it's Surah Al-Nahl, Brother Muqtabu will say, I'm dealing with your point. Surah Al-Nahl, right? Chapter 16, verse 64. And maybe I can share the screen for you to see the verse. Let's see. Yeah. So chapter 16, verse 64. It says, and we have not revealed the book to you except to clarify to them what they have disagreed or what they dispute about, and as guidance and mercy for people who believe. Now, people will disagree on things. People will dispute about things. People will have misunderstandings about things. And that is one of the reasons why God says in Quran chapter 4, verse 59, فَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَالرَّسُولِ. And if you dispute about anything, then refer it to God and the messenger. The messenger is not supposed to tell you his opinions or point of view or his understanding. He has to give you nothing but the truth. So when it comes to misunderstandings, people like to look at things from different angles in another perspective instead of letting the text speak for itself. You see the problem? Now, when you take issues like, let's take the issue of what to spend, what to dispense in the way of God. God says, yes, alunaka amaza yufiku. When they ask you what they should spend, then God asks the messenger, cool, tell them this. Whatever the messenger is telling them is explicit, is direct. It is not a confusion where they will ask that, what does this mean? What does this mean? Or what does that mean? It is direct. The only time you will find different interpretation is when people are trying to bring a different view to a simple statement, trying to tell you that, oh, this word doesn't only mean this, it can mean this also. So why are you only using this? You understand? If there was any conflict of interest at that time, at the time of the prophet or the messenger, when such thing was told to them explicitly, they will have asked question, what do you mean by this? Then God will give the answer. As simple as it is. So the reason why interpretation of different ayat, when we have ayats and people have different interpretation because they are looking at it from different angles. So yes, we can consider it as opinions in both cases. Because that person is not letting the verse speak for itself. You understand? I saw an article, when was it? Was it yet today or yesterday, right? And somebody shared a verse of chapter 2, verse 184. And then the person explained the verse to be that when you are sick or you are traveling, then it says for iddatu min ayyamin ukhar. So the iddatu min ayyamin ukhar means a number of other days. That is explicitly, that's what it means. Then somebody translated it as you make up the mistakes. Now, this translation is an interpolation. When you check in the Arabic statements, it is not there. So this is the caution there. People need to pay attention. Now, this person is using his opinion. It is no more from the verses of God. This person might be using an understanding which is far away from what God said. Are you saying this person, what he said, can't God say it like that way? People have said it, right? So why it is that God chose to say it this way, and people are now twisting the words to mean that way? So that is the problem with interpretation. People will try to bring in interpretation instead of letting the verses itself give you the interpretation. That is the ta'wil. So let's check Quran chapter 4, verse 59. I will share the screen and you see what it says. Quran chapter 4, verse 59. That is Surah An-Nisa, right? Let's check what the verse says. I share the screen. Yeah. So God says, "O you who have believed, obey God and obey the messenger, as well as those in authority among you," right? "And if you dispute with each other about anything, then refer it to God and the messenger." Now, there's a reason here. It doesn't say we should refer it to God and the dictionary. It doesn't say we should refer it to God and the lexicons. It doesn't say we should refer it to God and the scholars. It says we should refer it to God and the messenger. Now, what you find is the words of God are found in the Quran, and the words of the Rasul are found in the Quran. You see the interesting part? The words of God are found in the Quran. The words of the messenger are found in the Quran. What is God telling you and I? If we dispute about anything, He didn't say we should go to the dictionary. He didn't say we should go to lexicons. He didn't say we should go to scholars. We should refer it back to what? To God and the messenger. So somebody will say, "Oh, that but the messenger, who is Muhammad at that time, he is dead and gone." God is telling you, and every nation has a messenger. For every nation, there's a messenger. Not a prophet, there's a difference. People should understand this. That verse is mentioned in Quran chapter 10, verse 46 to 49. I will take you there, right? I will take you there to explain that point. Yeah, salam. Hey, salam. Isa Abdullah Shabu, I see you. Salam. You're welcome. Salam. Dalalat, I see you. Welcome. Salam, Sister Naz Khan. Thank you for coming. I see you. I'll be coming to your question, Momade Pedro, and I'll appreciate it if you save the question and you call. It gives me more room and time to concentrate and answer, right? So if you should believe in God and the last day, that is better and best in what? Ta'wil. So this ta'wil, it is interpretation. So if we are looking for the best interpretation, we have to refer it back to God and the messenger, not back to God and the dictionaries. They will confuse you because dictionaries are written on perspectives as well. Lexicons are written on perspectives as well. Now, this is what I want people to understand, right? Yeah. So, chapter 4, verse 59 gives you a clue on how to address topics in the Quran and understand issues in the Quran. Many a times I'll find people giving meanings to words that don't exist. Sometimes I'll find people who say Salat means duty. I keep cracking my head. I'm like, where did they find the meaning duty from? Which dictionary and which vocabulary? Where is it from? I don't get it. You are bringing a word from Arabic to English and a meaning which never exists anywhere, nowhere to be found. How did you come by that meaning? So this is what I call opinion, perspective, point of view. So the people insert their views there, which doesn't exist. God is telling you and I, if we dispute with each other about anything, we should refer it to God and the messenger. He didn't say anywhere else. So when you want a topic to understand, deal with the verses of the Quran. God explains it to you. You don't understand what God is saying, deal with the messenger in the Quran. God will explain it to you. This is how it goes. You go to Quran chapter 5, verse 101, right? That is Surah Al-Ma'idah. Now see what God says in that verse. He says, "Oh, you who believe, do not ask about things if made clear to you." We can say matters or things, if made clear to you, will distress you. But if you ask about them, when the Quran is revealed, they will be made clear to you. God has overlooked such. God is forgiving and what? Clement. Now this is the portion. Verse 102. People have asked such before you, the believers, yet they became disbelievers by it. Yeah. The Quran has what we call mawdu'u. It has siyak al-kalam. It has muhtawa. So it has a topic or subject, and it has what we call what? Context. And it has what we call content. This is a glass. If there is no water here, we call it a glass. The moment I put water inside, and I make a reference for it, I'll say the glass. Right? When I say a glass, I can let it become a subject. And when I put when I give it a context by putting water inside, then it will become a content. So we call it the glass because of the water inside. It has become the subject now. So the subject is in line with the context, and the context is in line with the what? Content. So many times you are dealing with people in the Quran. This is the Quran in front of you. You are dealing with the subject. You will see a person asking you something which is off the subject. For instance, if God talks about Salat, you will see somebody asking you, where does the Quran tell you to do 3 rakats? Where does it say 4 rakats? Show me, how do you do rakats then? You are using an external source to question the Quran. First of all, the word rakat is not in the Quran. Secondly, nowhere did God say you should do raka'at. So if you're asking me a question, you are asking me about things, if I make it clear to you, will distress you. Yes. So this is the wisdom here surrounding this kind of issues. We are dealing with issues. First of all, Quran was revealed in Arabic language, which is a lisanul Arabiyyun mubin, in a clear Arabic tongue. Right? And what is the Arabic? Araba is to express, to reveal something, to make something clear to you. Right? So God chose that language for a reason. So that things can be made what? Presentable to you. But now when we stick to the context of the Quran, choices of words have been used and only God can explain to you. You don't need to bring your meaning. You don't need to explain something and say, so therefore, Salat will mean this, this, this. No. We don't need that. That becomes your opinion. That becomes your point of view. Let the verses speak for itself. Quran chapter 10, verse 82. Check what God says. God says, وَيُحِقُّ اللَّهُ الْحَقَّ بِكَلِمَاتِهِ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْمُجْرِمُونَ. He says, and God will enforce the truth with his words, not my words, not your words, not somebody's words, not the lexicon words, not the dictionary words. He will enforce the truth with his words. Kalimati. Right? Even if the criminals dislike, who is a criminal? Somebody who commits a crime. Somebody who will try to change the words of God. Right? So even if the criminal dislike it, God will enforce the truth. So here, what I want people to understand is Quran or Islam is not about, oh brother, I think this. Oh, I think Ramadan cannot be this month. Yeah, I don't think Ramadan is this month. You ask them why? Oh, because the Sunnis are doing Ramadan. Now the Quran you are using, the Sunnis are not using it too. The Quran you are holding in your hands, the Sunnis, they are not using it too, right? Oh, so if the Sunnis are using it, then throw it away. Since the Sunnis are also using it, throw it. Right? Throw it away. So what do you mean the Sunnis? Because the Sunnis and the sectarians are doing it. So now, do you know about Salat al-Fajr? Do you know about Salat al-Isha? Is it the Quran? Yes, it is in the Quran. Don't the Sunnis have their own way of doing that too? Okay, I'll give you an example. For those who have watched my video on YouTube, I have a video called Different Types of Salat. If you go to Quran chapter 8, verse 35, the disbelievers, they establish their own Salat. They have their own form of Salat, which is the whistling and clapping. That is also called Salat, but that is their own. If you go to Quran chapter 24, verse 41, the birds, they also do their Salat, but that is their Salat. If you go to Quran chapter 4, verse 142, even the hypocrites, munafiqun, they also get up for Salat, but they do it lazily. And that is also their Salat. You go to chapter 107, Surah Al-Ma'un, read verse 3, verse 4, verse 5. Those who are heedless of their Salat, فَوَيْلٍ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ, they also establish Salat. But their Salat is what? They are heedless of their Salat. That is also their Salat. Then you go to chapter 4, verse 103. God says, إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ كَانَتْ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ كِتَابًا مَوْقُوتًا. He says, indeed, the Salat has decreed times upon the believers, or for the believers. So the believers also have their Salat. Do you see the same word Salat, but disbelievers have their version of Salat. Hypocrites have their version of Salat. The birds have their version of Salat. Believers have their version of Salat. And then people who are heedless of the Salat have their version of the Salat. The same Salat. So always there's the same concept, but a different version. People will do a different version of it. Right? So that doesn't mean just because a disbeliever is doing his version, so that cannot be called Salat. It can be called Salat, but the question is this the Salat God asked him to do? That is the question. I will sometimes find people who say, oh, Salat doesn't have a fixed time. It can be done anytime, and it doesn't have conclusion. If it doesn't have conclusion, go back and read chapter 62, verse 9, and read up to verse 11. God is telling you when the Salat is concluded. Then disperse in the land. Go back to the land and seek the favor of God. Right? If it's concluded or completed. Right? You go back and do what you want to do. So if Salat doesn't have the conclusion, then why? You see the point? Now, what I want people to understand is when we want to talk about issues, and then people want to always use their whims and desires, and that is why correctional officer is available for all this. I know how to fish out people and let them bring their opinions. I do dialogues, I do debates, right? My main objective is not to say, oh, I've won the overall debate. No. My main objective is to show you your fumbles and your mishaps and your inconsistencies and your discrepancies of what you say. This is what I look for in people when we do discussion, right? I will let you bring up your opinion because at the end of the day, your opinion doesn't matter. It cannot harm a fly. Nobody needs your opinion at the end of the day. Islam is about the truth. What you're saying, is it the truth? Yes, let's hold it. You can hold it. If it's not the truth, why waste our time? Why give your opinion? Who needs your opinion in the first place? Do you see the point? Yeah. Please help me with this, brother. Please, what does the Quran say about Janaba? The word Janaba has been used in the Quran as Junuban. If you go to Quran chapter 5, verse 6, that is Surah Al-Ma'idah, chapter 5, verse 6. Yeah, concerning the, let's see. Yeah, Surah Al-Ma'idah. I can share the screen. Yeah, let me check it out so that you can see. So it says, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu idza kuntum ila as-salati faghsilu wujuhakum wa aydiyakum ila al-marafiq wa umsahu bi ru'usikum wa arjulakum ila al-ka'bayn. Right? Yeah. And it says, wa in kuntum junuban. So this word junuban here is translated as, and when you are what? And if you are unclean. Junuban means you are dirty, you are unclean, you are polluted. So that is where people got the word janaba, because bilarakat, if you have the root word, is janaba, right? So to be unclean, to be impure. You understand? So God says that if you are unclean, then you have to what? Cleanse. He says fatahharu. Fatahharu is to cleanse yourself, to purify yourself, to cleanse, right? So if you are unclean, that is what janaba is. And many a times you hear people saying, what is the wankan janaba, meaning to bath, the bathing of janaba. There's no such thing as the bathing of janaba in the Quran. What God told you is, if you are unclean, then you have to what? Cleanse, or you purify yourself. That's what God asked. Yeah, just a minute. Yeah, can you hear me? Okay. Yeah. Nati, I see your call. Because I was thinking what happened. I pressed the mute. Sorry. Yeah. Wow, thank you for the alert. It escaped me. I wasn't paying attention. I mute the mic. I forgot I mute the mic, right? Thank you. So the word janaba, that is what it means. Janaba is to be unclean, impure. Oh yeah, I see you. NT4, I see you. Yeah, thank you. Okay, it's clear now, right? Odisia Ibrahim says, she says, can you stop the music? Your voice is unclear. It should go by the general appeal. If they say I should stop it, I can stop it. So let them decide, right? Because I normally do my lectures like this. I put the music in the background and I do lectures. It helps me to flow, right? Maybe Kudisia, this is your first time of listening to me, so maybe that's why you say it's a distraction. It's not a distraction, though, right? And also, this is not normally the way I speak. It is because I'm recovering from flu, right? And I would say it's a flu. It's just a problem I have during this time of winter, of the winter time. It's not a virus. It's not like a flu type of thing, but it's just like a blockage. So when it's very cold, the cold penetrates and it's kind of block my sinus. They checked, there's no infection, there's no danger there. But okay, yeah, thank you. So let me not lose the track. A question was asked by this brother. He says, Muhammad says, the question that I have been asking lately is how can almost everyone be wrong this whole time, knowing that the Quran was revealed at the time of the Prophet with Arabs? How can they be wrong? Still, your question is not clear enough, because you are saying, how can everyone be wrong this whole time, knowing that the Quran was revealed at the time of the Prophet with Arabs? Who is wrong? Let your question be clear enough. Salam, Reels GH. Please, Mubadi, if you are here, let your question be clear. Discreet says, brother, can't fall down, did fall on knees and not face. How do we know we fall on our faces? The falling down. I'm going to give you an example here. In Quran chapter 16, verse 25 to verse 26, right? Oh yeah, sorry. Quran chapter 16, let's take verse 25. Here, verse 26, and I share the screen. In this verse, chapter 16, verse 26, it says, those before them had already schemed, but God approached their buildings from the foundations. You know, the foundation of a house, when there's earthquake, it shakes the foundation. And God says, so the roof above them, you know, when the foundation shakes, the roof starts moving, right? Just like we saw in Turkey, the earthquake, right? So the roof above them fell down on them. So when the roof is falling, you know, it's not going to fall like, how will I say, one side. It's just falling. So the roof, harra, the word used there is harra, which is a literal meaning to fall, literally. So it is based on the context, you know what God is talking about. Nobody on earth can tell me that this is not literal. This is a literal issue which God is describing here. Unless if somebody wants to use their whims and desires on this verse and not use their logic to understand that a building is mentioned, a foundation is mentioned, and then it's talking about the roof of a building. And then it talks about the word fall. So the word fall has been used. So you can still fall, it goes down, right? The context tells you the roof came down on them. Good. Now, it is based on how the subject of discussion works and the context. It is based on that you can denote and know that this is what God is telling you without using your whims and desires. It is only when people want to give room for whims and desires, that is when they take words out of context and then they create a new meaning to tell you it can mean this or it can mean that. Because remember, words have meanings. That's why we have vocabulary, right? So those words, they have meanings, but you can assign a word to another thing that is your own point of view. For instance, Jamaicans, they speak English. Their English form is what? Patois, right? Patois. So instead of the word what's going on, they will say wagwan, right? Wagwan. Now this wagwan is similarly used as what's going on. So to them, when they say wagwan, you know what they mean, right? But this word they are saying wagwan, it comes from the word what's going on, right? Or you can say what's up. But they use it in their own language as that form. But now the derivation comes from English. They derived it from English, and then it got to where it got. Now, similarly, for those who speak Hausa language, Niger, Mali, Nigeria, Ghana, Chad, those places they speak Hausa language. In Cameroon, we have places people speak Hausa, right? Now, this Hausa language has different versions. Just like English has different versions. Just like Arabic has different versions. Just like Spanish has different versions and what we call dialects. Right? Good. So that is the dialects to show the versions. So when coming to versions, some words will be used here. It doesn't actually mean the same thing in this version. You see the point? So even in Europe, the country I'm based in, different cities, even though they speak the same language, but they have different versions or dialects of the same language. So some words, the meaning will be derived in such a way that people will understand it in a different context. That is why we have a written language officially where everybody can agree to the rules of the language. So coming back to the word harra, Brother Discreet is asking that, he said, brother, can't fall down mean fall on knees? If it is falling on knees, God will have said fall on knees. That's the simple logic there. Now, the reason why the face is used, even though I'm not saying that directly, the only point of harra sujuda, to fall down by prostrating, means definitely you have to put your head to the ground. No, I'm not saying that. But the act of sujood, prostration, it means you are physically going down. That is why the word harra is there to qualify, because it's Arabic. So harra is there to qualify the word sujood for you to know what is being happening there. Right? So God would have said, fall down on your knees. Right? If you get my point, Brother Discreet. Okay, let me not stay on this for long. Another power says, babashuaib, enlighten me on destiny. There's a difference between destiny and choice, right? We all have free choice, which is free will. And then we have what we call destiny. For instance, you don't choose the country you'll be giving birth to. You don't choose the type of color you will have. You don't choose whether you are a boy or a girl. You don't choose whether you grow old or you die young. It's not your choice to make, right? Difference with when people decide to make a choice of committing suicide, that's different. But when it comes to destiny, God has designed things in that manner. When you are asked right now, where will you be in 50 years' time? You can't tell exactly. You can only assume. So all those things are called destiny, the way God has destined things in life. And then when we say choice, you have a free will to decide. Right now, it is my free will to do a program. Right now, you are watching me. It will be my free will to end the program after 2 hours. It is my free will to wear the dress I'm wearing, right? It is my free will to go out and buy food. That is my choice. So understanding how destiny works, certain things we do in life is not by destiny. It is by our choice. That is why you'll be held accountable for it, right? So it's just a simple issue, but sometimes people complicate this scenario. I have done this video on it once, but I'm trying to, since now I have a very clear video where I can repeat my lectures, I'll be repeating most of the lectures I did in the past, which is not clear enough. And now it will be more presentable. I'll be having time to do such lectures again, inshallah. When you see Ibrahim says, are we Bani Israel? It depends. It depends. Right now, I don't know your background. I cannot tell where are you from specifically. And when we say Bani Israel, it doesn't necessarily mean everybody among Bani Israel is black. Among black people, we even have albinos. We even have light color. For instance, you can see I'm a black person, right? But if you go to maybe Sudan or Gambia or Senegal, there are people who are a lot darker than me. Yeah, darker than me, way darker. Right? But the notion is, Bani Israel are more normally tagged as, black. But that doesn't mean everyone is black. I'll give an example. This is me, babashuaib. You know me as an African, a black person, right? Now, I have 2 kids. My kids, a boy and girl, they were given birth in Europe, right? And they are light-skinned kids. They have light skin. So let's assume I leave Finland now, I live where I am, and I go back to Ghana. And then I go and marry a black lady there. And then I give birth again to kids there. They will have darker skin. Those dark skins they have, even though they are still related to the kids I gave birth to in Europe, but they have different colors. So just because they have different colors doesn't mean they didn't come from the same lineage. You understand? They come from the same father, right? But they have different colors. So similarly, when you take the story of Pharaoh, what he was doing is literally killing the men and leaving the women, because they will have to use the women to multiply, right? Because the woman can bear a seed, and then she can give birth, right? But then Pharaoh is thinking, what do we need the men for? Let's take them out. We can use the women and then multiply and create a different color. So this is how colors spread among people, but doesn't necessarily mean Bani Israel are entirely black people. No, that's not the point. But mostly, yes. But however, we have people spread out to Middle East. Middle Eastern people spread out are still related to Africans. For instance, even in Africa, we have the northern part of Africa, we have the Arabs, the Tunis, the Libya, the Egypt, the Algeria. Then we have, there's Egypt. Next to Egypt, we have Jordan. We have all the Arabian countries there, right? Now, it is all through this we evolve and then we spread as humans, because we mix up and we keep spreading. That's how it goes, right? So for me to just look at somebody directly and say, okay, you are part of Bani Israel, I need to know your background first before I can actually do it. So for people who haven't watched my lecture on Children of Israel, I have a lecture on YouTube. It's called the Children of Israel, right? It explains and how it came about. Right? So kindly try to watch that and get your answer. Muqtabul Hussain says, since the messenger did not take any ransom, then why Allah asked to pay sadaqah as per 58:12? What do you mean by the ransom? I don't get it. I hope you understand what ransom is, right? Ransom. It's like you are compensating for something which you did wrong that you want to compensate for. That is ransom. So which ransom? In that verse, it doesn't mention ransom. Quran chapter 58 verse 12. The word ransom is not mentioned. So let's check the verse. Chapter 58 verse 12. For you who have believed, whenever you converse secretly with the messenger, then present alms, sadaqah, right, before your secret conversation. That is better for you and purer. But if you do not, fine. Then indeed God is forgiving and merciful. Now the reason why he asked the believers to present alms, these alms are supposed to be used for some people. And let's see where the alms are going. When you give the messenger alms, it doesn't mean you are going to feed him. Yeah, this is where they are going. I'm going to show you. You go to Quran chapter 9, verse 16. Yeah, Quran chapter 9, verse 16. Here, the sadaqat, the charities are only for the needy, right? The poor people, the workers over it, the workers who take care of the poor people, right? And those whose hearts are composed. And among the slaves, when we say rikab, they are not actually like the ibad. Like the slaves are enslaved from war or something. No. When we say rikab, it's some people who are restricted. They are either restricted by debt, or they are restricted for something they did, and somebody is holding them, like, hostile, because they cannot go, and a hostage because they have to settle the debt before they go. So it is different, like a debtor, but somebody who is restricted. So that person has been enslaved in that angle. We can use the word enslaved. So the rikab, then we have the word garibina, which is the debtors, those who are in debt. Then as well as what? In the way of God. And then the wayfarers, people who are on the way and they are stranded on the streets. They are the wayfarers. It becomes an obligation from God. And God is omniscient and wise. So Muqtabul will say, the sadaqah you present to the messenger is not for the messenger to go and buy food. He is supposed to use it for the needy. But because he knows the right way to channel the money, or to channel the sadaqah, that is why God asked the believers to present it to him. That is the charity. It is different from zakat. To understand how zakat works, go to chapter 92, verse 17 to 21. Zakat is between you and any poor person you decide to help spontaneously. Zakat, somebody can just call you and say, "Oh brother, I'm hungry, I've not eaten since yesterday." Then you decide to give them money. They go and buy. That is zakat, because you did it to purify your own soul. But when we say sadaqah is like a contribution. For instance, I've organized GoFundMe contribution. It is on my GoFundMe page, right? I think for people who know. So I organize charity events. So people donate, and then we buy food items for people who usually cannot afford such food items. Then we buy food items, and sometimes we include money depending on the situation. So when we do that, I let these people get fed. Then I make sure the workers, or the worker I will put in charge to do that, I will make sure he also gets a share of the sadaqah given, because he is working. I'm telling him what to do. So he goes to feed people, and he has to get his share at the end of the day. So this is how charities are used. But because I know how to utilize this, when I organize GoFundMe, people give a funding. I put money myself, and people, sponsor. And when people sponsor, it becomes easier for me to channel the money at the right place, and it can be distributed to the poor people by buying them the items which are needed. So similarly, Muqtabul said, your question in chapter 58, verse 12, giving the messenger the charity is not to give him asli, giving him bribe or something. No. You are giving him so that he can use it to give it to those who are in need. Quran chapter 9, verse 60. That is why he says the charities are only for the needy. It is not as if you are giving it to the messenger. The messenger is not part of those who are needed, those who need to take charity. You can see the list. Right? Okay. Yeah. Okay, let me see. Okay, I just got. Who is this brother? Can't you call? Are you blind? That's my number on the screen. Can't you call? Call. Abdurrahim, call my number. It's there. WhatsApp number. Call and embarrass yourself. Kindly call. I miss the mushriks a lot on my platforms. Kindly call. Oh, I was getting a feedback that they said my voice was what? Oh, they said my voice went. Okay, that's a long time ago. That I've already sorted it out, right? That was earlier on. People said my voice was gone. How is it now? Can you give me the signal? Is it okay now? You can hear me, right? I might have put my hand, I might have touched the bottom here, so that's why it went on silent for me. So give me the signal if it's okay now. Yeah, kindly give me a signal if the voice is okay now. Then I move on, right? Yeah, kindly give me. Yeah, it says all good. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what I've missed. Because I'm going to the questions step by step, so maybe I might miss some points. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. My number is there. The WhatsApp number is on the page. You can see it scrolling there, right? And this is the if you want to come to my program as a guest, if you want me to bring you as a guest, this is the link. I just pasted the link. Also, you can. I pasted the link there. That's the StreamYard. If you want to connect as a guest, take the link and join me also. Or you can call the WhatsApp number down on the page. That's the WhatsApp number you call, and then you bring in your question, right? Yeah. So what do we have? Let me see. Okay. Muktabulu says, please leave the mushriks. You have been giving us most valuable knowledge, so don't waste your valuable time with the mushriks. I agree. And because of the mushriks, that's why I do TikTok live, right? I go on TikTok because of them. And many a times they do come. They are my customers, so I need them to sell the product. So they have to come. That's what Allah you okay. So sometimes I just love it when they think they are mad enough and then they just write insults. They are like, hey, you are running away from me. I'm here. Do I look like I'm running? My number is there. I'm putting my link. Come and embarrass yourself. Let me make you famous. Yeah, salam, Bilal. Bilal, I see you. Salam alaikum, brother. So somebody's asking, he says, Mumade says, babashuaib, the falling down on the faces is emphasized in Quran. You better put on the screen to help our brother discreet. Yeah, I see it. I have a video on that I have explained that portion, but it doesn't. Chapter 17, verse 107 doesn't directly says put your head to the ground, but it gives you the notion of understanding that it's a physical movement, right? Talking about free will, the angels also have. Even does the angels also have free will? If not, what can you say about Satan? Because we've been told that Satan was once an angel before disobeying. First of all, nowhere did God ever say the angels don't have free will. God never said that, right? However, when we go to Quran chapter 66, verse 6, and I'm going to explain to you why people are saying the angels don't have free will, right? Okay. Chapter 66, verse 6. O you who believe, O you who believe, protect yourselves and your families from a fire whose fuel is people and what? Stones. Over it are thick and strong angels. They do not disobey God in what He commands them, and they do whatever they are commanded. That is the only time in the Quran God spoke about the angels concerning the angels who are gatekeeping the hellfire. They do not disobey God in command. The ones guarding the hellfire, they do not disobey God in command as He has commanded them, pertaining to, right? Now, coming back to why people are claiming Iblis is a fallen angel. It doesn't directly say in the Quran Iblis is an angel. No, it doesn't. However, we see a verse where it claims that Iblis became a jinn or he's a jinn, right? But then, coming to understand, the word malaika is a title. If you understand it as a title, then yes, we can classify Iblis as part of malaika. Just like when we say police officer. Among police officers, we have detective, we have sergeant, we have corporal. It goes. The ranks are, a lot. But they are all classified as police officers, right? Same goes with the word malaika. One angel we say malak, right? Then we have what? Malaika. So malaika, they are what we call the possessors or keepers, or people who guard something, right? So that's why they are malaika. So now, classifying Iblis as part of the angels, if we take the word malaika according to the Quranic perspective, and we check it as a title, yes, we can classify him as part of the malaika, but then he is a jinn who happens to be part of the malaika. You see the point? But coming to say they don't have free will, where did this understanding come from? And I'm going to break that down for you. If you go to Quran chapter 2, verse 30, go to Baqarah, right? Chapter 2, verse 30. Sorry, let me share it. Chapter 2, verse 30. Oh, sorry. I went way more than I should go. Right. Quran chapter 2, verse 30. And when your Lord said to the malaika, right, the angels, I will place a successor on earth. They said, will you place therein one who will corrupt and shed blood therein, while we glorify with your praise and sanctify you? He, God, said, indeed, I know what you do not do. So here alone shows that they have free will, but their free will is limited. Here, when God decided to do something, they questioned God. It's a question. It's just like I'm working with my boss, and my boss says, hey, I decided that I want to sell alcohol in my shop, right? Then I will now ask him, you want to sell alcohol here? You understand? First of all, if I question my boss, it means I'm concerned with what the decision my boss is going to do. So assuming if my boss says, hey, never question me over anything, you don't have the will to question me here, then we can say, I don't have the free will to question my boss. But when I question my boss, will you sell alcohol here? It means I have free will to question my boss. So they had the free will to question. But how actually, I will agree if you say the free will is limited. Yes. So when we check the title of Malaika as title, instead of tagging them as just, angels with wings, and then say, oh, this is what they are. Then the understanding comes from people who confuse why God is saying Iblis was supposed to do the sujood. You understand? So I think I explained it one time in one of my videos on Facebook, right? I don't know, was it when at the beginning of Ramadan I did a video on that? Okay, yeah, Salam Muktabu said, see you. Yeah. Salam, brother Isa Watson, you are welcome. Qasim Saad says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can Muslims be racist? The Quran doesn't give the room for racism, right? The Quran doesn't give room for racism, right? It doesn't give you the room for that, right? Muslima is joining on. I'll come back to your question. This question, I'll have to answer it. So let's allow Muslima to join, yeah? Yeah, Salam, your name and where you're calling from. Muslima, are you there? Muslima, you have muted yourself. Can you unmute yourself and talk? Muslima, if you can hear me, can you unmute yourself and speak? It says, I cannot unmute you. Well, I guess the person is not available. Yeah. So coming to the question this person asked, he says, please, I want you to explain Quran chapter 5, verse 2 to verse 5 for me, please. Okay. Let's see what it says. Quran chapter 5, verse 2. And I'm going to read it to verse 5, right? Yeah, chapter 5, verse 2. It says, "O you who believe, do not dissolve the rituals of God, nor the sacred months, nor the sacrifice, nor the collars, which is the animal neck band that you put around the animal neck, nor the custodians of the sacred house, who are seeking the favor of their Lord and approval. And when you are free, then hunt, and do not wrong yourselves by hating a people that repelled you from the sacred mosque, lest you will transgress, but cooperate in righteousness and piousness, and do not cooperate in sin and aggression. And beware of God, indeed God is severe in penalty." Verse 3, "Unlawful to you is dead animal, blood, the meat of pig, and what has been offered to other than God, and the strangled animal, the fatally ill animal, the deteriorated animal, the battered animal, and that which the predatory beast has eaten, except what you slaughter. But do not sacrifice for an idol, to conjure with divination arrows," like people go to do animal sacrifice rituals and try to do spiritual means to the shrines, and they go to conjure some voodoo. They slaughter animal and put it on their idols. That is immoral. Today, those who disbelieve are despaired of your religion. So do not fear them, but fear me. Today I have perfected your religion for you and completed my blessing upon you, and have approved Islam, that is the submission as a religion for you. But whoever is compelled during hunger without being inclined to sin, then indeed God is forgiving and merciful. Verse 4, they ask you what is lawful for them. Say, lawful for you are good things, and what you have thought of predatory dogs, you teach them from what God has taught you. So eat from what they catch for you, and mention the name of God upon it, and beware of God. Indeed, God is swift in recording. Verse 5, today, lawful for you are good things, as well as the food of those who were given the book is lawful for you, and your food is lawful for them, as well as the chaste among the believing women, and the chaste women among those who were given the book before you, when you have given them their fees as chaste women, not as fornicators, nor to be taken as what? Secret lovers. And whoever disbelieves in the faith, then he has foiled his work, and he will be among the losers in the hereafter. Now, Alasan Aliyu, you asked me to read Quran chapter 5, verse 2 to verse 5. Here are the verses for you. I hope you have understood that. Now, coming back to a question somebody's asking, you say, Baba, when I tell my Sunni brothers, for example, that Quran doesn't mention 5 prayers, they ask me, how can almost everyone be wrong this whole time, including Arabs who were with the Prophet? The Arabs were not with the Prophet. If they are saying the Arabs were with the Prophet, the Arabs were not with the Prophet. And I'm going to answer your question. First of all, give them this answer. I take you Quran chapter 6, verse 116. Quran chapter 6, verse 116. And if you obey most of those on earth, they will mislead you from the way of God. They only follow what? Assumption. And they are only guessing. That is an advice from God, not from me. Right? Okay. Now, apart from that, yeah, that is Quran chapter 6, verse 116. Now, why did I say the Arabs were not with the Prophet? I take you to Quran, the same chapter. I take you to verse 66. Yeah, chapter 6, verse 66. God told the Prophet, and your people have denied it, while it is the truth. Say, I am not your advocate. So Prophet Muhammad was asked to tell them he is not their advocate. And God told him, your people have denied it, while it is the truth. And to top it all, Quran chapter 25, verse 30, on the day of judgment, listen what will be said. The messenger will say, O Lord, indeed, my people have taken this Quran as abandoned. When he was alive, they denied it. Most of them, they denied it. On the day of judgment, he will bear witness and tell God what they did. My people have taken this Quran as abandoned. So are we supposed to pay attention to God, or we have to pay attention to the Arabs? It's obvious they are wrong. They were even wrong at the time of Muhammad. Why can't they be wrong after he's dead? What makes you think they are right? Do you get my point? So it is God you are following, not men. Right? I'm not saying all Arabs are astray. No. We have Arabs who know God. For instance, Quran chapter 9, verse 98. Right? And among the Arabs are those who take what they disburse as liability, and they wait for you mishaps. Upon them is the mishap of evil, and God is hearing and omniscient. Then among the Arabs, verse 99, And among the Arabs are those who believe in God and the last day. And they take what they disperse as nearness to God and the what? Litanies of the what? Messenger. When we say litanies of the messenger, this is the Salawati Rasul, meaning the Salat he established. They take it as a nearness to go to him as well. Verily, indeed, it is a pious act for them. God will admit them into his mercy. Indeed, God is forgiving and merciful. So you can see, not all the people around him rejected it. Some people, some Arabs, they believed in what the messenger brought. But mostly, this is what God says. Quran chapter 9, verse 97. He says, Al-Arab ashaddu kufr wa nifaq wa ajdaru Allah ya'lamu hududa ma anzalallahu ala rasuli wallahu alimun hakim. The Arabs are worse in disbelief and hypocrisy, and worthier not to know the limits of what God has revealed to his messenger. And God is omniscient and wise. So don't be surprised why Muhammad as a messenger will bear witness against his people on the day of judgment and tell God they abandoned the Quran. And that is what you are seeing today. How can you be doing 5 prayers when it's not in the Quran? How can we be stoning the devil in Mecca when it's not in the Quran? How can we be kissing the black stone when it's not in the Quran? How can you be selling Zamzam water and whatever, when Quran doesn't condone that? It is not something Quran inspired you. People will lie to you. Oh, this water is healing. This water is this. It's superstition. Whatever you believe works for you. People worship stones, it works for them. Right? That's why they worship. On the day of judgment, you go and answer. Right? So that is just my answer. Yeah, thank you very much. Kudisiya Ibrahim, thank you. Yeah, she said, some people think Arabs are on a higher plane. Yeah. It's a fact. Some people think they are on a higher plane, right? Yeah. So Allah Salihu says, so if I have a dog and a dog caught meat for me, I can use it. Yes, you can use it. The Quran said it. That is why people go to the forest and they use dogs to go to the forest and to hunt, to catch animals, right? So even if they bite the animal, so far as the animal is not dead, you can slaughter it and eat. It is not forbidden, right? And second, he says, who are those that book came to them? The book of God. For instance, you go to Quran chapter 17, verse 2. The children of Israel were given the book of God. Chapter 17, verse 2. I share the screen. And God says, for we gave Moses the book and made it a guidance, right? A guidance for the children of what? Israel. Right? And he says that do not take a what? A representative besides me. So the children of Israel were given the book, Al-Kitab. Right? So among children of Israel, you can marry children of Israel as well. You were given the Al-Kitab, you can marry. They are the people of the book. But now, we have people who call themselves Nasara. And we have people who call themselves Yahudi. Those have actually created a new creed. Right? They created a new creed. So most of the doctrines they follow is no more the book of God. They are the book of men or the words of men they follow now. Right? So beware of that. So when we say people of the book, people who actually follow the words of God, that is the people of the book. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be ending the program in like 20 minutes. So if there's any questions need to be asked, you want to call to ask, you can call to ask. You want to come as a guest, I think one sister tried coming on earlier. Let me see. Muslima is asking a question. She tried coming on earlier, it didn't work. So now she sent me the question. Or I would say she's just making a statement, right? Yeah. Darth Vade also made a point. It's a nice point. It's a good point here. And then Kudisiya is also making a point. Yeah, it's a good point. Yes. Yeah, it's a good point. And now, Muslima says, Salam, I recently discovered that the concept of ritual prayer is not mentioned in the Quran, right? I agree with you. When we say ritual prayer, we are talking about the Sunnis, the Shias, their ritual concept of prayer. It's not in the Quran. You don't find 2 rakats, 3 rakats. You don't find the 5 prayers. You don't find the way they ask them to do. It's not in the Quran. That I agree. So she said, previously I had been praying 3 times a day in accordance to the Sunni tradition that I embraced. And I have since, if it's a Sunni tradition, it is the Shia tradition which rather pray the 3 times. They join some prayers and then they make it 3 times. Sunnis don't pray 3 times, they pray 5 times, right? I have since converted to Al-Islam, a follower of the Quran. But since there isn't a single verse in the Quran that tells us to recite the Quran back to Allah, how can any of us justify this ritual prayer? Can we overcome the cognitive dissonance and abandon the ritual salat and do the true salat, engaging with humanity in accordance to Allah's laws? So according to your definition, you are now defining salat. You say the true salat is engaging with humanity in accordance with Allah's laws. That is not the definition of salat in the Quran. You want to understand what salat is? Go to Quran chapter 20 verse 14. Let me help out here. Quran chapter 20 verse 14, when God was speaking to Musa alayhi salam. Let's see the objective of salat. So God says, indeed, I am the God. There is no God, there is no deity except me. So worship me, that is to serve him. You are worshiping him at the same time. Yes, you can worship God because you love God, you adore God, you did it, you die for him, you do things for God, right? So that is worship. And establish the salat for my remembrance. He didn't say for my laws, for my remembrance. He didn't say for the remembrance of my laws. So the people trying to formulate a new meaning and say, oh, salat is establishing the laws of God. God will have said, and establish my laws. Establish the salat, listen carefully, for my remembrance, for the remembrance of God. That's why we establish the salat, right? Again, we go to Quran chapter 62, verse 9. Let's see the objective of salat, or what salat is about. O you who believe, or you have believed, when called to the salat from the day of congregation, then proceed to the remembrance of God. It didn't say to the laws of God. You can see an activity is going on. You have to leave the sale and go to the remembrance of God. Not to the laws of God, not to the establishing laws of God. You leave the entertainment or whatever you are doing to the remembrance of God. We will come to the zikrullah. Then he says, and leave the sale or leave sale, whatever sales you are doing, leave it. That is better for you if you should know. So the objective of salat is the remembrance of God, not the remembrance of the laws of God. Listen carefully. Sometimes we like to play with words and put our own, opinions there. What I am here to do is to help people to understand the word of God. Somebody will say, who are you? I'm going to tell you who I am. Go to Quran chapter 7, verse 181. Right? And among those we created, that God created, I'm also part of those God has created, right? He says, among those we created is a group of people guided to the truth, and by it they do justice. What the correctional officer is here to do is to guide to the truth using the words of God, because God has guided me. Then I can lead people to the truth. And by it, I have to do justice when I'm dealing with even you, the Quran alone follower. I will use the Quran to do justice. If you're saying something is not right, I'll use the Quran to deal with you. If I'm dealing with the mushriks also, they are saying something which is not in the verses, I'll use the Quran to deal with them. So let's leave opinions aside. Like you said, I agree with you when you said we should leave cognitive dissonance. You will never find that one with me. I'm beyond that, right? I am the one who strikes cognitive dissonance into people, right? That is why I'm the correctional officer. So now the point is, if you don't agree with the Sunnis, the Shias, that is absolutely brilliant. I agree with you, because they are sectarians. So they formulated something new. To understand what Salat is, go back to God and the Messenger. It is the Quran. You will understand it purely in the Quran. Don't try to bring your opinion. Oh, Salat is the establishing laws of God. Is that what God told you? Where is the verse? Where is it? Salat means establishing laws. Why are people bringing their opinions here? Salat is just the remembrance of God. And I can show you how we remember God. I have videos on YouTube, right? My videos are there. They are going to help you to understand how the remembrance of God works, right? So if you don't agree with the Sunnis, I agree with you. That is perfect, because that is the first step to understanding the words of God. So that is the thumbs up. But don't try to bring your own meaning again and say, oh, Salat is establishing law. No. Stay away from that, please. Allow the Quran to talk to us. Quran chapter 10 verse. Yes, Quran chapter 42 verse 24. Yeah, thank you very much. Good to see you, Ibrahim. Quran chapter 42 verse 24. In that verse, this is what God says. Or are they saying he, Muhammad, or he, the messenger, has invented falsehood about God? And if God had willed, he could seal your heart. But God effaces the falsehood and enforces the truth with his words. Indeed, he is aware of the essence of the Muslims. So what God does is, he effaces the falsehood and then enforces the truth with his words. Not my words, not your words, not everybody's words. So let's stop using our whims and desires now. If you are moving away from the sectarians, be mindful. The devil doesn't leave you alone. Because when you are moving away from the mushriks, the devil is like, oh, where is this person going? Let me monitor this person. Let me put in my whims and desires to make him use his opinions. So now people will say, oh, I've stopped following the hadith. But when they come to the Quran, oh, let me create my own meaning. Salat means following closely. Salat means duty. Salat means establishing the laws of God. Salat means commitment. Salat means this. And how do we do Salat? Oh, Salat, you don't need to establish Salat. Salat is about just establishing the laws of God, following. So now you are the one we have to follow, right? Let's listen to God, how he defines it. Simple. That's my argument. If we go away from the sectarians, the mushriks, let's stick to God, listen to God, and he will use his words to tell us the truth. Simple. That's all I have. That's all. Good. So let's see the last message. Muslima is saying something. She says, I'm just starting to unlearn Sunni Islam. I agree with you. If you are starting to unlearn, you are already on the way. Mind what? I've already passed that level. So you are on the way. So me passing that level, I can help you and we move together and understand things together. Right? But whilst you're moving and learning, stop drawing conclusions and or decisions, like to make judgments. I will advise you to refrain from being pre-judgmental if you're still learning. What I do is, if you are not advanced in learning a subject, don't make decisions on the subject if you have not concluded. Why am I saying that? Quran chapter 10, verse 39. Surah to Yunus. I'm taking you to Surah to Yunus. See what God says. In Quran chapter 10, verse 39, God says, in fact, they have denied what they have not encompassed its knowledge, and whose interpretation has not yet come to them. Likewise did those before them deny. So observe how was the end of the transgressors. What I'm advising people is, don't go ahead rejecting or denying something when you have not encompassed it in knowledge, and yet you don't have the interpretation thereof. So when I come across people, sometimes they will say, brother, Tribe, are you still doing ritual salat? No, I'm not doing ritual salat. What I'm doing is salat, which can be defined as a ritual. But I'm not doing ritual salat. What I'm doing in my salat, I'm not saying exactly you have to do this, you stand like this, and you do this, you fly, you do. No, that's what I'm saying. So I choose my words carefully. There is no fixed posture where it says ritual salat, you have to do it this way, this way. What I'm defining is that act is a ritual. But the postures you are going to use, what you are supposed to do, it is not in a ritualistic form in terms of, a fixed posture that you say, well, you must stand like this, or you have to face the north, or you have to look here. No, that's not what I'm trying to teach people. No. But however, God wants you to remember Him, and He will remember you. Quran chapter 2, verse 152. He says, so remember me, and I will remember you. And what? Be thankful to me, and do not be ungrateful to me. This is what God is telling you and I in Quran chapter 2, verse 152. So in order to have that remembrance of God, you need to establish the salat to have the remembrance of God constantly with you. God knows you'll be occupied with other activities. So He decided to give you a fixed time that you come and interact with Him to have the remembrance in your head. Now, for people who are saying salat doesn't have a fixed time, go and check their livelihood. Most of them smoke, most of them drink alcohol, most of them just live their life anyhow. What we call moral ethics, they don't have it anymore because they lose the connection of what the remembrance of God is about. So they just think, oh, remembrance of God, I need to remember God in my head. I need to be sincere with people. I need to be, not steal. No, that is not the remembrance of God. Is that how the prophets did? Is that how the messengers did? Ask yourself these questions. Calling someone to remembrance or remembering someone is having time for that entity. That is the remembrance. It's just like you have a friend, an old-time friend. You don't call them, but you know they exist, right? But you don't call them. You don't get in touch with them. Does it mean you remember them? No, we don't call that remembrance. It is after you take the phone and you call your friend, then he will say, oh, babashuaib, today you remember me. Thank you for calling me. I appreciate that. Wow. So next time he can call you too. It's simple logic. So remember God so that God can know my servant, he exists because I gave him time for a meeting. He came. If God doesn't have a meeting with people, do you think he will call Musa alayhi salam for a meeting? Go and check Quran chapter 7, verse 155 to 156. He called Moses for an appointed time. So you think God cannot call us for appointment? So what is the problem if he gave you a time to come and interact with him? You think it's a big deal? That is the point I want people to understand. Do you get my point? Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, my time is almost up. I have 3 minutes to go. Sister Muslima, I don't know the name you are using on Facebook, or are you on YouTube, Facebook? No. But I saw your messages. You have my number. I know most people here have my number. You can interact with me. You have anything to ask. For those who I couldn't answer your questions, I'll find time. Let me answer maybe the last question. Ali Inki says, Salam alaikum, brother. So in order to get an understanding, so what is meant in 1187? Now the word as-salatuka mentioned in 1187 concerning Prophet Shu'aib, that as-salatuka, it is in line with what is mentioned in Quran chapter 9 verse 103. As-salatuka is written differently from the way that establishing the as-salat is written. This as-salatuka, what you need to understand is one word in Arabic has multiple meanings. Check the context of discussion. In that 1187, it doesn't say establish a salat. Nor does it say Shu'aib established salat. There's a difference. When we say Akim is salat, it's different. Now, anywhere you go and see a word, try to understand the structure of the context and subject of discussion. Then you know what is the meaning of the word. For instance, Quran chapter 75, verse 31 to 32. Wala saddaka wala salla. Fala saddaka wala salla. That salah there mentioned there is a verb. A verb has multiple meanings. It's a word form. It has multiple meanings. Check the context. It doesn't say wala kimu salat. It doesn't say establishing salat in that verse. Right? So this is the misunderstandings people always have. When they see one word, they think it means the same thing everywhere. The word kill in English, does it always mean murder somebody? No. Right? 2 days ago, Real Madrid killed Barcelona. Does it mean everybody is dead? No. They just won against them 4-0. They killed them. It is just the subject of discussion and the context. That's it. You understand? So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to exhaust myself. I know there are questions coming in still. I would love to have answered more questions. But what we will do is I will leave this for another day. And thanks to God, now we have a live streaming. Everything is working. No hiccups there, no something there, no this. Alhamdulillah, thanks to God and my lovely brother Muhammad who gave a helping hand. You can see everything looks presentable. The only thing missing is my voice and my nose giving me problem. But inshallah, Ramadan is coming to an end. I will have the freedom to use my medicine and everything will get better. But regardless, I love what I do, and that is why I find time to teach people. This is me. People who know me will tell you about me. I love what I do. I'm doing it for the sake of God. So I love to teach people, help people to get them out of the darknesses into the light with the help of God, according to Quran chapter 14, verse 1 and Quran chapter 57, verse 9. So this is me, the correctional officer, babashuaib. 2 hours is okay. If I stay too much, I will spoil it. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate your presence. We keep in touch again, and maybe next week, next week, God willing. And I hope I get better than this, and then we can move on with the next. So thank you all for coming. Sister Naz Khan, Haruna Ghana, Balogun, Sam K, Kudisia Ibrahim, Baba Sinu, Salis Jimmy, Mawia, those who are here, those who are not here. Thank you all, Sister Natalia, Alma Johnson, Muktabul Hussein, Nobody, Labid, everybody. Thank you. I appreciate your presence. It keeps me going. I respect you. I value you so much, just like you cherish and respect the lectures I give you. Thank you all. And you know my YouTube channel, as I put, I have the link here, Bush2G9. It is the same name I use everywhere. Clubhouse, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, everywhere you want to find me. Instagram, just type Bush2G9 and you find a correctional officer there. Right? So this is me, myself, and I. Thank you all for the time being, and hopefully we meet again, inshallah. And may we have a blessed month till it comes to an end. Hopefully we see again. Subhana rabbi izzati amma yasifun. Wassalamu ala al-mursaleen. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Peace be upon you all.
When a person doesn't like you, they team up with another person that doesn't like you. And before you know it, there's a whole slew of people that hate you. But here's the thing, those people, they don't even like each other. They're only gathered because of you. See how powerful you are?